Hey guys, it is Vampire Month once again, which means we have read Vampire Academy number 5, Spiritbound. I put up 10, it's 5.
It's okay, Chelsea.
This book, we kind of had mixed feelings about. You were like, this is a real slogfest, and I was kind of like, oh, it's fine, just keep reading.
I think my major problem with it was that I could kind of see where it was going, so it just felt like I had to wade through all of this stuff just to get to the setup for the next book.
Yeah.
Anything that happened in this book almost was unimportant. You know that Lissa and Christian are gonna get back together. You know that when it comes down to it, Rose is gonna choose Dmitri.
It's frustrating at some levels, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, the whole Rose, Dimitri, Adrian love triangle thing got on my nerves because I'm like, I like Adrian. He's very sweet. He's trying very hard. And Rose, if you're not gonna get your act together and actually try with this guy, just let him go, because I hate watching him, like, be jerked around, and he doesn't need that in his life. He's got enough going on.
Rose is trying to figure out a way to turn his strigoi back. You can understand why Adrian is upset about that, because he knows that, okay, I'm just the intern boyfriend, that once you do this, you're gonna leave me, because, like, my biggest competition is gonna be back, and I do not hold a candle to him in your eyes.
And Rose is completely like, yeah, I guess, I mean, I'm planning to be a guardian, so that's gonna take me away from Adrian. So even if Dmitri doesn't come back, our relationship has an expiry date.
Yeah, like, she is not committed.
Not at all. Even the mother was like, you're not really committed to him, are you? And Rose was like, oh yeah, I guess I'm not. And then like, she's like, don't break his heart too hard. And you're like, there's a little part of me that still has that hope that maybe Dmitri will do something in the next book and they really actually won't be together. But
you know.
Oh, I know.
You know.
I know.
You know how these books work.
But that's the child part of me, the one that started reading teen fiction and just was like, maybe this time. She won't choose the obvious one. Maybe this time.
Maybe this time. I'll be happy. But, okay, so the basic premise of this novel is Rose graduates, she passes her trials with flying colors. She and Lissa move to court. Lissa is going to be going to university near court, and in exchange for that, she's going to learn court stuff. Rose is going to be assigned to someone, probably not Lissa because she's too much of a loose cannon, and she's finally maybe a little bit starting to come to terms with that. The woman who's raised Christian is like, no, I put in a request for you to be my guardian, like, so you'll, like, stay close to the core group.
Yeah. And Rose is just like, you know what, if I have to guard anybody who's not Lissa, I'm happy it's you.
But in the meantime, we're working towards trying to find a way to save Strigoi, and so that means we have to go and break Victor out of this max security prison because he is the only person who knows the last known whereabouts of his brother who supposedly did this.
And she got this information from a reliable source that it happened, so she's like willing to believe that Victor has this information. But it involves driving to Alaska and staging a prison break with Lissa and their friend Eddie.
And I felt so bad for him.
Yeah!
She basically sabotages this guy's record. And she's like, yeah, no, he'll do it because, like, he's loyal and we look out for each other and, like, he'll do anything for a friend. And I'm like, but you had to pick him though?
Yeah.
And then later on when Eddie just assumes that this is something really important. Then he finds out it's because Rose wants her boyfriend back and he's just like,
lady! And then you notice, like, the second she doesn't need him anymore, he disappears.
He disappears from the book.
Yeah. I was like, that's super convenient, Richelle Mead.
And so we get Victor. Victor gets their brother. Like, I'm just glossing over this because it's
kind of boring.
It's kind of boring.
It's very straightforward.
They get the brother, they meet the brother. He says, okay, the way to do this is you need to have a spirit user stake the strigoi in the heart using a stake that has been imbued with all elemental magic, including spirit. And so Rose is like, okay, never mind, can't do this. I'm not letting Lissa anywhere near a strigoi.
Especially Dmitri.
Especially Dmitri. And Lissa's like, but I gotta. Rose is like, I have had years upon years upon years of training. Do you think it's easy to stake, like, something? Like, you have to be strong. And Lissa's like, but I gotta.
And Rose is like, it's discussion over with. You're not doing it.
And so then Dmitri attacks the hotel that they're staying at. They get away. They go back to court. Everyone is in super big trouble because of this, except Lissa because she's the golden girl. And Rose, it looks like she might be confined to a desk job.
Anyways, Rose decides that she's just gonna accept her punishment, she's just gonna go about her day, she's just gonna lead Adrian on, because that's still happening, and who knows where life is going to bring. And then Dmitri strikes again, and he captures Lissa at her university, and uses her as bait for Rose. And of course Rose has to take bait, but so does the entire Morai court. He sent a whole bunch of guardians with Rose, and Rose is doing her whole like command relay through Lissa's head thing, and she watches as they're like attacking this building. You know, Dimitri's like pacing back and forth in front of Rose, and then she finally gets there, and Christian has also been kidnapped with Lissa. So he's there too, and he manages to capture Dmitri in a ring of fire and give Lissa time to like actually stake him in the heart. Turns out that it works.
I was of two minds because they kind of built that up to be the final, like, the act, because this has happened multiple times in this book, right? Like, strigoi have kidnapped key characters, and so we go and we like rescue them, and then the book ends. Well, no, we have 100 pages left. And some of the fallout
I don't even know if it's 100 pages, it's like 2.
So the fallout, part of it I really liked, like how everybody did not believe this happened. So they all came up with different reasons, like, no, Dmitri was never like actually strigoi, he just went crazy, or like, okay, well maybe she did change him back kind of, but maybe it's gonna wear off, or maybe there's still some darkness inside of him,
or maybe he's just faking it. Just a whole bunch of different theories about why.
And then Dmitri wants nothing to do with Rose, and Rose is like, why won't you love me? And he's like, because I fucking tortured you. I'm like, okay, no, fair, consequences. I love consequences. But we all know what's gonna happen, that they're gonna get back together. Like they're gonna do it.
Dimitri's like, love fades. And we're all going, oh god, this author does not believe love fades.
Oh no, love is forever.
And every time like Rose is with Dmitri, she's like, oh, there's a sexy man I fell in love with. Oh, he's so, oh, look at him being all powerful, and oh, I just want to screw him. And you're just like, come on, lady, like, you gotta give me more than that if you're gonna be like, no, this guy who's absolutely devoted to me and, like, you know, real sweet over here, and then you're just gonna be like, no, I just want to screw this guy.
But she did say no to Adrian because Adrian did not have condoms, so safe sex.
Yeah, good girl.
But okay, so the big thing that's going on in the background that kind of erupts after Dmitri returns is that the Morai feel unsafe. They feel like there are not enough guardians. And then we lose a shit ton of guardians. But before we lose said shit ton of guardians, they're having these secret meetings, and they bring Rose in, and she testifies about her time out fighting strigoi and blah 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 blah. And then we find out what they're going to do is they're going to lower the age of guardian graduation from 18 to 16.
Everybody brightly loses their minds.
Because like, they're 16-year-olds.
They're going to face death down at 16, really?
And like, Rose has this really good speech where she's like, if you expect us to give our lives up for you, you owe us these 2 years. And so I was a little concerned because nothing for me up until this point kind of like screamed society is on the brink of collapse, because every big strigoi attack up to this point in the series has been tied to our main characters, like their personal issues.
Yeah, like Rose has just happened to be on a mission one day and this family gets attacked by strigoi.
Or a bunch of young, like, not yet graduated guardians decide that they're going to fight strigoi and get themselves killed. It's been kind of built up that strigoi work not very, like, they tend to be solo creatures. They don't really work in teams. When they work in teams, it eventually collapses because they're infighting. So you get to this point and they're just like, oh, by the way, our society's on the brink of collapse and the Morai are dying.
You're like, what?
And I'm like, what is, like, no, like...
Which is very true. Like, she could have easily, like, throughout the books been like, oh yeah, and this group of people got massacred, and oh yeah, this girl's aunt got massacred, and like...
And I get that the story is supposed to be very much focused on these characters, and they've spent all of this time in the school, but yes, they could have...
Just every once in a while been like, oh yeah, and a bunch of people died over here, and a bunch of people died over here, and just go on with the plot.
And then you find out that the reason that the Queen wanted to lower the age range was because one of the other ideas was like, we're gonna compel the Guardians into protecting them. It's like, why would you compel them? They're literally been brainwashed to protect you. Like, their entire life you have, like, beat into them that they come first, the Morai come first. What makes you think
you need to brainwash them? I mean, I guess they could go out and find all the people, like, a bunch of Dampiers that aren't.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, most of them are fine with just doing this shit, so why? It's
a society that I already have, I'm really skeptical about. So And, like, we watched Rose go from, like, we gotta protect the Morai to, maybe, you know, my life is important and I should have choices to, like, I gotta protect the Morai. Like, they come first. Like...
She's gone, like, in a circle. There's the fact, in the last book, you had a whole bunch of people being like, oh yeah, maybe we should be training the Morai to fight, which seemed like a more, like, reasonable way to solve their problem, and that was the way things were heading. That was the big argument, not going this way.
And you've literally said multiple times, strigoi are weak against fire. You literally have a group of people who can control fire. You expect these people to die for you, but you refuse to get your hands dirty, and so to increase your pool, you want to, like, send out children instead of, you know...
Did you have the flashback to just, like, this year and being like, oh, this sounds familiar?
A little bit, yeah.
It reminded me of the Sacha Baron Cohen thing where he's like, no, we'll just give toddlers guns. Teach them little rhymes. It's fine.
In this book, it just seems like fabricated drama. It doesn't fit with anything that's come before. All of a sudden society is collapsing and, oh, by the way, the queen is murdered and now Rose is in jail.
Yeah. Because that happens. After Tatiana drops this whole, yeah, we're lowering the age of guardianship thing, Rose randomly gets arrested in a cafe, and Dimitri's there to fight them off, and he'll do anything to protect her, even though he says he doesn't love her. And you're just like, oh god.
Kill me.
And she's like, oh, he's so powerful.
Oh,
there's
kill me.
There's the Dmitri I knew before.
But no, he can't fight them because if he fights them, they'll think he's a monster, and they won't. Like, just fuck off.
Enough. Somebody clearly framed her for murder. Even Rose was like, this seems like a very obvious frame.
If I did it,
I wouldn't be this fucking dumb.
And so her father shows up to defend her in court, and it goes to trial, and so it ends with her waiting to go to trial, and him being like, her dad being like, yeah, so, you know, they execute traitors, so we better win this.
And you're like, oh, great.
Oh, and okay, so the other thing was the night that the murder would have happened, Adrian was with Rose. So he's her alibi. He's like, no, I was with her all night. And everyone's like, oh, and the mother's like, you can't, you're gonna tarnish your reputation. And Adrian, because Adrian is a solid dude, is like,
I don't fucking care.
Don't care.
She's gonna be executed for murder and you're worried about my reputation, which is actually already kind of terrible. Okay. The one moment I had in the middle of this was like, okay, so, strigoi do not like fire. Why do guardians not carry flamethrowers?
Because hindsight is 20/20.
Anyway.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So, like, it's a middle book. Like,
it's not my favorite.
Next book, Rose is gonna get out of jail, and Dmitri and Rose are gonna fall in love, and Adrian is probably gonna die.
Because, you know, how else are we gonna get him out of the way and not force Rose to choose between the two guys?
And Lissa's gonna be queen. Oh, the other thing that pissed me off was the Christian Lissa drama.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, because of everything that went down in the last book, they're broken up. Like, rightly so. Even though it was not Lissa's fault, Christian still has
valid points.
Valid points.
So every time they're in the room with each other, like, oh, he's talking to another man. He's talking to another woman.
But they won't talk to each other and, like, talk about their feelings. So this entire book, it's like, okay, when are we going to talk? And then they are training with two guardians. And they're getting right up close and personal with each other, and Lissa's just like, oh my god, like, the part in his hair, his inky black hair, and I'm just like, skew.
Oh, the other thing we didn't talk about was, meanwhile, while they're in, like, Las Vegas pretending that they didn't just spring Victor out of jail, Rose overhears that Lissa's father, before he died, was squirreling away some money, and she's like, oh, that's weird. I'm not gonna tell Lissa
but he liked his wife, so he totally didn't have an affair.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna tell Lissa because I don't want to, like, tell her something that's important.
I don't want to ruin her memory of her parents.
Yeah. And so then we get to this whole plot thread where Tatiana's like, oh yeah, Lissa could totally be on the council and vote on this, like, this guardianship thing, except that there's a rule that says you can't be the only last member of your family and be on the council.
So she has to wait until she's married. And then...
Or if she happened to have a sibling somewhere. So, clearly...
She has a sibling. I'm going to guess that it's a sister.
Yep.
Vampire Academy Book 5.
Bye!